Well, thank you for being here. Are we in great hands with Tim Pernetti or not? It was so nice being in the audience, listening to his talk with my players, and I could just see the pride that the players had in being part of this conference. And so, again, I think we're in great hands. When I first took over at Temple, I got a lot of questions. Why Temple? And it started with a phone call from a headhunter, which I've gotten hundreds of in my career. But the difference was an athletic director showed up in Texas 2 days later and was selling me on the fact that I should come back home, come back to Philadelphia. And it's a town where I was the last cut with the Philadelphia Eagles twice, and I met my wife, who's a Penn grad, in that city, and we lived in that city. And so I was interested. And then I get on a FaceTime with the president, and he's feverishly rooting on his Philadelphia Eagles as he's talking to me, and sold me with the fact that Temple has such a great brand, but to make the brand greater, we need to get Temple football back to where it once was. And if you look at it, I have a unique lens when I look at Temple. I played on a national championship team in 1979, and I always tell the recruits, don't do the math. I went to college at a young age. And that loss we had when we were 13-1 was to Temple. And the year before, when we were number 2 in the country at Delaware, we just got taken apart by Temple. And I look at the fact they've had 198 NFL players, 81 draft choices, 4 first-round picks, a Heisman Trophy runner-up, and in 2015 beat Penn State and have game day come when they're playing Notre Dame in front of 70,000 and have a close one with Notre Dame. And so what I did was I talked to Al Golden, I talked to Matt Rule, I did some research, I looked at that 2015 team, and I saw that of the 124 players or so on that roster, a lot were from the footprint of Connecticut down to Virginia out to Ohio. And so that was my mandate, that we want to get Temple football back to where it once was, the greatness it once had. It's going to be recruiting that footprint. We've started off pretty well in committing a class. They're not signed yet, but they're committed. And a lot of that was the energy that we put into that footprint. Got to Temple, and the first thing I did was I took 4.5 days, and I met with every player individually. And I'll admit that there was times when I first got there, before I started talking to the players, I was wondering, did I make the right decision? I have 3 grandchildren in North Wilmington with my daughter and their son and my son-in-law, and so coming back home was nice that way. But I wanted to come someplace where I could end out my career and Division I football and have that challenge, but also want to be successful. But it all started to come into clarity when I started interviewing the players. And after 4.5 days talking to every single player on the roster, I realized Temple is really unique. I mean, Philly's a unique town. I mean, we're the ones throwing snowballs at Santa Claus. We're the ones that are with you when you win and when you win. It is rocky, work ethic and that chip on your shoulder kind of place. And after 4.5 days of talking to those players in that locker room, I felt really good that this was a great decision. I've been happy with everything we've done progress-wise, from winter workouts to spring ball to summer conditioning, and now we're entering training camp. I think we've added some players to the roster that will help us. But the roster wasn't nearly as bad as I think people want to make it out to be, and I'm just honest. I mean, I think people are like, why would you put pressure on yourself? You're saying the roster's not bad. Why don't you just say the roster was horrible, and everyone will say, well, hey, you made it better. I don't deal with that. I just try to be straightforward and say, listen, we took over a decent roster. There's talent there. It's just we have to enhance some of those players around them. So excited about the season coming up. Start at UMass, and then have Howard, then have Oklahoma, and then we have Georgia Tech, and then we get into the conference play. But again, I am excited with what the future is at Temple. Questions?
Thanks, Coach. We'll take questions. Please raise your hand if you have any. We'll get a microphone to you. We'll start on the right side of the room. We have the league winners. Again, please introduce yourself and affiliation and proceed with your questions.
Brandon Pockers with the league winners. How are you doing today?
Very good. How you doing?
I'm doing great. So as someone from the Northeast, I feel like the football up there, and especially the recruiting in terms of like the high school recruits, has really started to improve over the years. How, as the head coach of Temple, as one of the main programs in the Northeast, are you ensuring that you're going to have a footprint within that and make sure you're bringing in some of the top talent from those areas to your program?
Yeah, so when I got to Texas, I quickly realized I was going to recruit Texas, and Texas. When I got to Temple, I quickly realized this is going to be Connecticut down to Virginia out to Ohio. And when I put a staff together, I had a phenomenal staff at Sam Houston, and we won a national championship. We won 21 straight games. We actually had the greatest calendar year in the history of college football, winning 21 games in 10 months. Because of COVID, we played back-to-back seasons. But all those coaches I was with, they weren't the right fit for what I needed to do at Temple. And so Jersey's going to be a big area for us to attack. And so Henry Baker, who was my corners coach at Delaware, coached in the NFL and was at Maryland, he came back with me. Now, he's a Paterson, New Jersey guy, and so I go up to North Jersey, and he's a made man. I mean, they remembered me. I was a head coach at Rowan in South Jersey and head coach at Delaware, so I mean, I recruited the New Jersey area. We lived in New Jersey for 17 years, my wife and I. But it was great to have a guy like Henry Baker, kind of being connected all the way through there. Same thing in South Jersey. Andrew Pierce, my running back coach, played for me at Delaware, South Jersey guy. It's the same thing as like the mayor of every town we went into, every high school we went into. Everyone knew Andrew Pierce. So when I put together a staff, it's like a jigsaw puzzle. And I was really conscious of putting together a staff that were great coaches, great people, but also had some regionality with recruiting. And that Washington, D.C., that Maryland, that Virginia, that PA, that New Jersey, those were really key areas for us. And so I made sure that the staff was built that way.
We'll stay on the right side with league winners, and then we'll move to the back row.
Hey, Coach Thomas Christopher from the league winners. How are you doing?
Good. How you doing?
I'm doing fine, thank you. Now, looking at attendance trends of our 5 year-over-year percentage, Temple has the 3rd lowest in the FBS, and they actually, at a capacity percentage for attendance, have the lowest in the FBS. How do you go about bringing fans into the stadium and working within the community to strengthen the bonds with the program?
Yeah, well, a couple things. First of all, one of the things I found out when I took over at Temple from a lot of the great players who played there in the past was they took such pride of being from 10th and Diamond, and that's where our facility is. And such great pride that they would go clean the neighborhood up once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week. And so something we instituted. We would go out and, and I go out with them, and we clean the neighborhood. And I remember it was a morning, one of the first times we did it, and I'm out there cleaning the neighborhood, and I see a gentleman walking his young daughter to elementary school. And just so happened, we'd just done a community service project at that elementary school earlier that week. And I could just see that he saw our players were out being great neighbors, being part of the community, helping clean the neighborhood. I could just see the pride that he had. So it starts with those little things. Another thing is that, recruiting regionally, you start to bring fans back because there's a connection with the players that you have in that stadium. And the other thing is that we're trying to do a little bit better job in regional scheduling. I want to play Delaware. I want to play Rutgers. I want to play Penn State. It's great that we have Oklahoma this year, but really for the future, let's get Pitt in there. Let's get Maryland in there. I mean, everyone wants to come to Philly because of the hotbed that high school football is. And so we're going to do a better job getting the UMasses and the Old Dominions and the James Madisons of the world, and I think that will help recruiting too. The third thing is we just had the largest freshman class in the history of Temple. So we're going to lean on that. And I want to make sure that freshman class knows that you are the largest freshman class in the history of Temple University. Let's do something with that now. Let's do something with that. And it's Philly. If you win, they will come. If you don't win, they're not going to come. That's who they are. I love telling the story. In 2003, my Delaware team won the national championship, went 15-1, one of the greatest seasons in the history of the school. And we opened with New Hampshire the next game, the next year, 2004, I mean. And packed house, 23,000. We knocked their quarterback out about 10 plays into the game. Backup comes in, goes 10 for 11. They beat us on a field goal at the end. We get booed off the field. This is a team that just went 15-1 and won a national championship. And we get booed off the field. We got Philly fans. And I just reminded them that's who we are. This is this area where they're going to be with you, win or win. And we just have to recognize that. But they're passionate. And you just got to appreciate how passionate they are.
Still on the right side, question in the back.
What's up, Coach Keeler? Sekou Chroma, D tackle here at Temple. I wanted to know, are quarterbacks going to be live? Because me and Evan got some beef to settle.
All right. So Sekou plays for us. He's a great defensive lineman. You know, sometimes when you bring the quarterback with a defensive lineman, you know, they get in some beefs over playing the game, or, you know, I guess Sekou couldn't hit a pitch at the ballpark, and I guess Evan put one to the track. But no, we're not going to have the live quarterback. Okay, so Evan, you're good. It's all good back there, Evan.
You saved them.
Questions for Coach. Back up here on the right side, third row on the end, and then we'll conclude with league winners.
Hey, KC, Sean from Al's Daily. I wonder if you feel good about the sort of rev share posture of the university at this point, and then sketch out how that grows and develops.
Well, you know, first of all, like, I came from a world that we had no rev share at all. And we went 10-3 and beat a team in this conference opening day, and went on to win a bowl game. But obviously rev share is part of our world. And I thought it was brilliant that the American decided to have a floor, a minimum investment. And I think that was good for all of us. When I talk to alums, I just let them know that it's just the nature of what we do now. It's the nature of the world we live in. And you can either adapt or you're going to perish. And so part of paying players is part of the deal. Now, one of the things that we do is our freshman class, they all will come in on the same number. We're not using our rev share to go get high school players. I think that's crazy. I really do. They haven't played a single down of college football. And the money I have, I want to use that money on retaining my players. The recruiting philosophy is really simple. Retain your best players. That's the single most important thing. And then after that is bring in a great high school class. And then after that, it's okay, those selected transfers. I think if you have your locker room full of transfers, there's too many mercenaries. There's no culture. And so we're careful. We're going to try signing 30 freshmen this year, you know? And so it's about putting together the right mix, but how we do it will also help our ability to use our revenue share the right way. And so that's why you have a general manager who studies all these things, and we try to be really upfront and honest with our guys, how we're doing things. And I also think by recruiting more regionally, there is no excuse now, hey, I want to go in the portal to get closer to home. You're already home. Family can see you play. So again, I think there's a whole strategy when you put together your program in terms of how you're doing a lot of things. And a lot of that revolves around how you can best use your revenue share. Because again, I don't think Temple's going to be the place that we're going to have the most money in this league. I don't need the most money in this league. We're just going to be fine if we have an amount we can compete with, because Temple's unique, Philly's unique. And when I spent those 4.5 days talking to those players, I could tell they love this place and they love Philly. And that was the thing that probably grabbed me more than anything else. And a lot of those players in those meetings, they had made a pact to stay and get it fixed. Not to run away and go somewhere else or make some money. It was, they decided they were going to stay and get it fixed. So again, I think how you structure your entire program, part of how you use your rev share is structuring your entire program in terms of who's going to get what and how you're going to recruit.
We have time for one last question. It'll be from one of the league winners on the right side. It's third row.
Coach Thomas Christopher from the league winners. Running back Jay Ducker followed you from Sam Houston. How do you plan on featuring within the offense, and what makes him a cornerstone piece in your rebuilding efforts?
Yeah, you know, when you bring a player with you, you got to make sure you're bringing the right player with you, or players. Because the guys in the locker room will look and say, okay, that's the standard. And so when we brought Jay, I mean, here's a guy that was Rookie of the Year in the MAC when he was at Northern Illinois. He was leading rusher at Memphis when he was there. Came to us at Sam Houston, had a great year, was our leading rusher. And so it was an easy sell for him and for us to have him come. The great thing is we have a Therese Worthy coming off an injury, who just ran a 23.4 on the GPS, who's one of those can shake and bake and take it home. So I think it's going to be, I think we have, if there's a position that I feel really good about on the offensive side, is that running back room is pretty loaded. And so, you know, our mentality is we run the ball at you, and then we'll throw it from there. I think that running back room is going to be one of the key things for us. And Jay Ducker is going to be a key for us.
Coach, that's all the time. Thanks very much.
All right, thank you.
Up next is Charlotte.